What's up, people? This is the Bleav in Saints podcast, and I am Mario Jerez, Spanish play-by-play voice of the Saints, native New Orleanian, member of the Saints Hall of Fame Media Selection Committee, and she is my co-host, Erin Summers, seasoned reporter and analyst covering the Saints and the NFL as a whole. Erin Summers, how are you today?
I am doing great. It is good to have the team back on the field. Again, second set of OTAs, one more next week. And then, the vets will be in town. But we kind of got a surprise with the vet this past set of OTAs. So a lot to talk about.
Yes, we will discuss that throughout the show. As Erin hinted at there, Alvin Kamara did randomly show up to OTAs yesterday, catching everybody by surprise, including Kellen Moore, it looked like.
Yeah.
We'll get into that and give our thoughts throughout the show today. I thought Tyler Shough looked pretty good at practice yesterday, Erin, despite the fact that the Saints were very shorthanded at wide receiver. So we'll talk about that. And we'll hit a quick edition of Yes or BS towards the end of the show. We'll talk a little bit of Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett. The Rams made that trade, and there's a lot of whispers that Aaron Donald might be considering coming back. So definitely want to give Aaron's thoughts on that. We'll hit that at the end of the show. But we had to start where we just started. Alvin Kamara returns to the team. He was at voluntary practice, Aaron, for the first time since 2019. This is something he normally doesn't attend, but he was there yesterday. And in case you haven't been keeping up, in case you haven't been listening to the show, here's a quick summary of the offseason for Alvin Kamara so far. They used a rare clause back in March to kind of restructure his contract. That means they don't have to guarantee him any additional money until after the season starts in September. Then they signed Travis Etienne, give him a pretty nice deal, implying that he's going to be kind of the lead guy in the backfield in New Orleans. And then there's been all the commentary on these shows and the press conferences. Kellen Moore, Mickey Loomis have been asked time and time again, what's the status with Alvin Kamara? And they've given the same answer every time. We're evaluating the roster. We're going through a process. We're seeing what his exact role is going to be. And now, at least as of yesterday, Aaron, it appears that the Saints have not approached Alvin Kamara with any kind of pay cut demand or any kind of modified offer. He says that his agent is talking with the Saints, but he's not really privy to any of those conversations. So it's just kind of a weird situation, but he is back. He is showing time and time again with his words and now with his attendance that he does want to be a New Orleans Saint going forward. So I'll let you have the floor here first. What did you make of Alvin Kamara getting on a flight in Miami at 10 o'clock at night on Tuesday night and randomly showing up at practice for the first time in 7 years?
This is so AK to a T, to just be like, I'm going to go catch a red eye, go to New Orleans, see how everybody's doing, check in, just kind of like any other day, right? Like, I'm going to walk down the street, say hi to my neighbor. No, like, I'll just get on a flight, check in at work for a minute and let everybody know I'm still around, especially because he hasn't done this since 2019. He always trains away from the team and he always obviously shows up completely ready. But the fact that there's a lot of conversation going on around him and then he decides to show up and nobody knew, it was unannounced, which is wild to me that he doesn't tell anybody, just walks in the building and people are like, wait, is that Alvin Kamara? Like, what is he doing? Kellen Moore didn't know he was coming, and he is coming back from that knee injury that's had him out the last 6 games of last season. He says he's 100%, but like they have with all the other players, Kellen Moore said they're going to ramp him back up and just see where he's at injury-wise because they haven't seen him since the end of last season. So didn't get a lot of him on the field. Also, when you're not expecting him to be there, you don't have a plan for the kind of reps he's going to get during practice. And so there was just a lot of unknowns on top of what it's already been a very murky situation and not a lot of clear answers on his status, what we're going to see from him. If the issue is just restructuring his contract a little bit more so they can get a little more bang for their buck across the board. And then how much run he's actually going to get. I mean, he clearly wants to be a Saint. He has made that clear. But if he's actually taking the field and in what capacity when we get to August, September is a big question mark.
Yeah, it's going to be a different role, and we don't know exactly what that is, but it's a new head coach, it's a new offensive system, and it's the first full offseason for Kellen Moore here. So
Mhm.
I said in the past, I don't think it's lip service when they said that they're evaluating the roster, but it's time, Aaron. It's time. They're either going to have to restructure this contract or make some really uncomfortable decisions because I think by his attendance yesterday, Alvin Kamara is really putting the onus on the front office here to get
Mhm.
something done. And we've heard him talk on Teron Armstead's podcast and on other mediums, but yesterday was the first time he actually faced the media scrum in New Orleans. And they did ask him those questions. And for the most part, everything is the same. The one thing
Mhm.
that stood out to me the most from his answers yesterday is it appears that he's willing to maybe play for another team. He said in the past that if the Saints don't bring me back, I'll go drink a pina colada somewhere. But
Mhm.
yesterday, he was saying that I don't really know. As of right now, I'm a Saint, but we don't know what's going to happen. So I think that just by showing up yesterday, he's really putting the pressure on the front office here to make a move soon. And that I don't think it's totally impossible that they cut him. I know Tyron Matthew brought that up as a possibility.
Yeah.
I think that would anger a lot of Saints fans, but it's getting to be decision time here with Alvin.
I don't know if my drink of choice would be a pina colada. And I think it's very funny that that is Alvin Kamara's drink of choice if he's not playing. But listen, they're heavy. Maybe he doesn't get to indulge during the season when he's training. So that would be like his guilty pleasure, I guess. That aside, he said there's no bad blood, there's no beef. He isn't involved in those issues. He's not the one talking to Mickey Loomis. He's just going to show up and do his job. I love the story where he said he called his mom and his mom's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, I think I'm going to go to my other job. And she was like, "Wait, work? Like your work job?" And to him, that's what it is. It's a job. And yes, he loves football. He loves the Saints. He wants to play, but he's not going to get involved in the nuances that your agent is there for. And I think that that's smart. You know, you want to just make sure you're focused on what your role is, and that's being healthy and ready to go and a contributing member of the team when the time comes. So, you know, he's keeping it copacetic and just showed up to say hey, and we'll see if he shows up again next week. I think it's funny. Like I said, it is true Alvin Kamara fashion. And we've seen him show up training camp before and like leave in the middle of the day. This was years ago because he was dealing with some contract situation. And so he showed up, did his work on the field that he had to do, and then he leaves. So he knows what he's doing. There is a bigger reason why he showed up and he talked to the media. He's putting a little more pressure, as you said, back on the team in the front office to make the decision.
And he's also trying to be a good teammate. He
Yeah.
I think is showing a lot of respect to the fans and the media by being so transparent. But he also said guys were calling on me, checking on me. I wanted to just show my face and show them that everything is good. As we load up this soundbite here, Aaron, I want to hear from Kamara. Kamara 3 on his current situation with the team. We cover this player. You and I have both
Mhm.
been around him. He's a really nice guy. You know,
Mhm.
we're family guy. We're rooting for him. But just as a fan, speaking just as a fan, I really hope Alvin Kamara gets the chance to be part of this next chapter of the Saints
Yeah.
because a lot of these guys in this situation, when you're maybe losing money, when your stats are going to go down with Chan, and we talked about the other guys behind him too. I feel like the coaching staff is high on Neal and Estime and some of these guys, but it's very clear that he's willing to sacrifice a little bit. He's willing to fall into whatever role the coaching staff wants him to be. And although it's a different iteration of Alvin Kamara, he really wants to be in New Orleans. And while he's maybe not the Alvin of 2017, 2018, I think he still has a lot left. I think if you contextualize last year, yes, it wasn't his best performance, but he was banged up towards the end. He had no kind of offensive line. He had no kind of
Mhm.
continuity on offense with his quarterback or anybody else on that side of the ball. And I think he's going to look a lot better. I think he'll stay. That's my kind of prediction, but
Yeah.
he seems to be very unsure. But he definitely wants to stay here, and he said as much yesterday at voluntary OTAs.
you want players like the players he just talked about to be able to end on their own terms and to end on a high note. I would hate for AK's last season to be 6 games on the bench because he was hurt and lowest production across the board that he's ever had. He alluded to that fact too. Like, we haven't been winning a lot around here lately, and I want that to change. He wants to come in and be a part of that, and you want him to be able to have a better season to walk away on. And I think he can still contribute to this team and help them be even more successful than we saw last season.
Exactly. And I think with coaches like Kellen Moore, when you have early success, and I know it was a 6-11 season, but they're really confident in him in that building, right? Winning 4 out of the
Mhm.
last 5 games, you really want to put your imprint on the team, and you feel like you have more power to do that when you do have that early success. And I feel like he's just trying to put the best team out there as we load up this Kellen Moore soundbite, more three on Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
But I think he still values what Alvin Kamara brings, but he's trying to evaluate and see if they can better use those resources across the board. And he's talked about that throughout the offseason. Yesterday, he seemed a little taken back by Alvin Kamara being there. And this is what he had to say about Kamara showing up and his current status on the team.
I think when you look at the dynamic between the front office and the coach, it's the coach isn't the one that's drafting players or signing guys in free agency. He can say, "Yeah, I think we could probably use another tight end or another this would help the team or this is my vision for the offense and I would like a couple more of these type of players." But it's up to Mickey Loomis and the front office to give you your roster and then the coach to decide what to do with it. So I think Coach Moore is in a interesting situation where he is trying to figure out what pieces he's going to have and how to make them all work and maximize their potential. That is something that Moore is really good at, is making sure he puts players in their best position and changes what they're doing offensively to who he does have on the roster. So I would like this to get figured out pretty soon, so he knows the full gamut of what he's working with to be able to put the best team on the field and put them in the best position game one of the season.
So I kind of gave my prediction. Do you have one? Do you see any way that this ends? I mean, I think it could be very similar to Cam Jordyn last year, very similar spot, and they ended up settling on or agreeing to a very incentive laden contract, right?
Mhm.
And with getting the 10 sacks, with all the production, I think Cam Jordyn made himself around like $4 or $5 million of additional salary. I think this is how it ends with Alvin. I think they really haven't given a good look to guys like Estime and Devin Neal, and those guys
Yeah.
will have a role this season. Whether it's third down, whether it's blitz pickup, those guys will have a role, and we will not see as much of Alvin Kamara. But I do think he takes the pay cut. I do think he returns to the team. What say you, Erin Summers?
I agree. And I think it could be interesting if they do put some incentive based things in his contract. Like, if you get X amount of yards or you participate in this amount of games, you get a bonus, whatever they want to structure that as. I don't think AK would have a problem not being in on third downs, not being that blocking back. He can come in for a few downs, a couple snaps, do some different things in the passing game, in the run game. But I mean, he's what, 31? Like, he doesn't want to put his body on the line like that when we saw it last year, which is why he ended up getting subbed for Devin Neal as the season went on. So Neal could be more of that blocking back. So I think that, yeah, I think that he still wants to play. He wants to contribute. What that looks like might change, but I do feel like they're going to come to terms and find something that works for both sides.
I think so too. Most people expect him not at the last OTA session next week, but back for the mini camp. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens with Alvin Kamara. And obviously, that was the big story coming out of practice yesterday, Aaron, but still a couple of interesting tidbits, especially talking about attendance. We already know Alvin Kamara showed up. That was the big story, but the Saints were without a couple of starting players, including Nathan Shepard and Ryan Wright, the punter that they just signed. Both of them were not attending because of non-injury reasons. I think Ryan Wright just had a baby and Nathan Shepard's dealing with something else there. We also didn't see Chris Olave on the offensive
Mhm.
side of the football. We didn't see Chase Young on defense. And keep in mind, these practices are voluntary, especially for the veteran guys. If they don't feel good, if they don't feel like going, want to do something else, then they have that liberty. But Kellen Moore basically said that, a lot of guys are dealing with illnesses. So we'll
Yeah.
probably just put Chase Young and Olave in that camp. And then a couple of other absences. Jordyn Tyson, once
Mhm.
again, not participating. Kendre Miller, Mason Tipton, Oscar Delp, and Xavier Harris were all sidelined, but everybody was still watching except for Xavier Harris. So those guys are getting acclimated. They're doing their position drills, although they're not participating. They are with their teammates that play their same position. And with Jordyn Tyson, we're going to have this conversation all offseason, Aaron, but I pretty much just accepted it. It's going to be negative discourse around this player until he plays in the games consistently. And to be honest with you, I know we've been hand waving it away a little, but I kind of get it. These are
Yeah.
routes against air. They're out there in helmets and shorts. So the fact that he can't participate in that, I could see why you'd think that's a little bit concerning, but that's just going to be the narrative with Jordyn Tyson. He has to show, like Chris Olave has shown, that he can
Mhm.
stay healthy consistently and that he can stay on the field.
Yeah, and we don't know the capacity that he's participating in other days because media is only able to watch one practice over each set of OTAs. So potentially he has done a little bit more than we've seen. I I understand the ramp up process, but to your point, there's no contact whatsoever happening. So what is the concern there? What are they trying to manage? He's got multiple injuries in his history. So which is it that they're keyed in on right now that they're trying to prevent? Is it a hamstring, ankle? He obviously broke his collarbone. That's completely different. But I really hope that he is able to participate more because I think, especially for a rookie, like you have to go through the reps. It's so key for him to be able to develop that chemistry with Tyler Shough and to know where he needs to be. And then eventually the speed of the game and how fast things are going to be at this level.
Yeah, these matter. I know a lot
Yeah.
of fans are like, "Oh, you're out there at practice," but it matters. These guys
You
are
have to go
acclimating
through the
themselves.
motions.
Exactly, exactly. So you're not just thrown to the fire when the season starts. And this is a good, I think, take to make here on June 4th, Aaron. To me, the key to the season is the health of three players. Can we keep at least two out of these three guys healthy for most of the season? Eric McCoy, Chris
Mm,
Olave, Jordyn Tyson. If all three of those guys are on the field consistently, I think the Saints are going to have a really good offense, like top half of the NFL, if not top 10. But to me, the health of those three guys in particular, if you can get at
yeah.
least two healthy most of the season, you're in really good shape. But that's going to go a long, long way in 2026.
Yeah. I mean, those are players that have had the injury history, and we've seen how vital Eric McCoy is. I think that what's going to be interesting too is Tyler Shough was healthy all of last year. He has that history as well. His have been a little bit more freak injuries, not the soft tissue injuries and things like that. Um, this is the first time we saw Zach Wilson on the field because he wasn't here last set of OTAs. So that's, I think, going to be an interesting battle as well to continue to follow between the backup quarterbacks. Um, they all took the same amount of reps. All of them got, the
Yes.
10 reps. So nothing to really read into there yet. I do feel like Spencer Rattler probably has the upper hand just because he has a familiarity with the system. But those injuries, something to watch. And then I think that the quarterback battle for the number two is going to be an interesting thing to watch as well.
As an aside here, I want to give some props to Spencer Rattler because according to Kellen Moore and just from what you can see, he's been a true
Mhm.
professional about being demoted to the backup quarterback spot to the point where
Yeah.
I'm honestly kind of rooting for him to win that job over Zach Wilson because, like you said, he has familiarity, he has the rapport with the teammates, and this is somebody who kind of had to humble himself. I know you saw the Netflix documentary and all the
Mhm.
viral clips of him kind of bullying his backup quarterbacks, and it's an interesting story. Very, very high rated recruit, went to Oklahoma, lost the job to Williams, and since then he's been trying to claw his way up. But he's doing a
Yeah.
good job. He's taking mental reps. He still has that rapport with his teammates, and I think Spencer Rattler deserves some credit.
Yeah, absolutely. And he definitely has humbled himself since he realized at a young age that sometimes you shouldn't say everything and that it will follow you. I mean, he was a Heisman hopeful, and this is complete story to ending up at South Carolina and then having the opportunity to be a starting quarterback and then not to end the season that way. Yeah, he's had a difficult journey, but he's definitely handled it really well.
Last notes on practice here. Like we said, the health of wide receiver is going to be very important this season
Mhm.
because as you get down to depth chart, a lot of unproven guys. And without Chris Olave and Jordyn Tyson on the field yesterday, the first three at wide receiver for the Saints were Devon Vele, Kevin Austin, and Jalen Polk. And I don't want to put too much into this, Aaron. Again, they're in shorts and helmets. These are voluntary OTAs. But I
Yeah.
thought Jalen Polk looked pretty good yesterday. Made a couple of catches across the middle, one of those in traffic, both of them from Tyler Shough. And this is a very interesting player. To remind you,
Mhm.
the Saints traded him to the Patriots for a 2028 or a 2027 sixth-round selection. The Saints got Jalen Polk and they got a 2028 seventh-round pick. And the Patriots made this trade after drafting him didn't really work out. They traded down 3 spots to draft him, and the Chargers, with the 34th pick, took Ladd McConkey in the Patriots' original slot where they were slated to draft. So didn't work out very well for them. They kind of just punted on this player, traded him to the Saints, but it looks like there's some potential there. He was really
Mhm.
good his last year in college, over 1,000 yards as a senior with Washington. They made it to the national championship that year, lost to Michigan, and then just kind of an injury riddled rookie season. But I see the potential, Aaron, not just because of his production in college, but also kind of his body type. I think he could be similar to Devon Vele, somebody who's not like Chris Olave, not like Jordyn Tyson, kind of has a bigger body, a decent catch radius, somebody who can be a red zone threat or do some damage in the middle of the field, and
Mhm.
don't want to take away too much. They're going against air with these routes, but I thought he looked pretty good yesterday. And the Saints in the past have had a lot of success with these kind of players, right? Guys coming off of injury. Scott Shanley, your old co-host,
Yeah.
Dallas didn't want him because he was banged up. So the Saints pick him up, and he does really well. We've seen so many cases of that, and I can't help but think, making this trade with the Patriots, maybe Jalen Polk can be kind of the inverse of what Rob Ninkovich was. Sean
Mhm.
Payton was on record so many times saying that he regretted trading Rob Ninkovich to the Patriots after the Saints originally drafted him. Hopefully, Mike Vrabel and the Pats are saying that about Jalen Polk if he's able to come to New Orleans and kind of resurrect his career. I thought he looked good at practice yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the body type that he has and the success he's had previously. I think that his mentality and approach has been great since he's gotten this opportunity. He alluded to it yesterday, saying that the fact that the Saints, went out and wanted to get him even as an injured player and kind of let him sit on the roster last year as an injured player and invest in him. Um, he feels very grateful for that, and I think that he wants to prove to them that they made the right decision, right? The way that he has attacked the offseason, we talked about it last podcast or last week that he's going spending extra time with Tyler Shough outside of OTAs and outside of their regular practices. So I think he's definitely attacking this the right way, and we could see some big things from him this year.
Hopefully so. I mean, I wish they had another veteran in the room, honestly, like a couple years ago when they had Valdez Scantling. I wish they had a presence
Yeah.
like that. But I love the youth in the wide receiver room, like so much unknown, but also so much potential. And again, I think the health of those two guys will be paramount, Olave and Jordyn Tyson. But I'm
Mhm.
really excited to see what some of these other guys can do. Polk, Bryce Lance. I'm so happy I didn't call him Trey. Good job. So it's just hopefully they're establishing some depth there at a spot that's
Mhm.
been really thin the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a shout out because you mentioned um, taking chances on injured players. We gotta talk about Ted Rath real quick because he's been doing some fun stuff. You know, they had the SWAT program during the off season where it's um, what does it stand for?
Spring
Spring
accountability, something. Yeah. If
workout something
accountability team, spring
accountability
workout
team. There we go.
accountability team. There you go.
Perfect. They're making this fun. Like they're creating competition, but then also bringing the guys together too. And I mean, it's all about being able to brag about beating the guy next to you, right? Like these are professional athletes. They have egos and they want to win at everything they do. So you're fueling that competitive nature with these off-season workouts. And then also the crazy stuff that he's been doing during the practices. We saw the Simon Says thing yesterday. They did the big man punt catch challenge and had the linemen trying to catch punts. So he's also making it fun, but trying to help them tap into some different skills that they might need to use at some point.
I love that you made that observation. I also have one more point to make here before we get to yes or BS. I love the attention to detail that Kellen Moore
Mm,
has, to the point where they went and did some community work the other day, and
yeah.
a lot of the players had to build sheds. And some of them, like two or three of the players, didn't finish their sheds or didn't build it properly. And
Mhm,
they came back to finish the sheds after the activity had ended. And Kellen Moore had a bulleted list of the guys that came back, and to me, that's huge because looking at
mhm,
his predecessor, Dennis Allen, when he took the job, I said that Dennis Allen can handle the game day responsibilities of being a head coach. I think he can call defense really well. I think he could have a good rapport with his coaches, and he can coach an NFL football game. But it's the week to week, the day to day. That was my big concern with Dennis Allen going in. And clearly, he did not have that same attention to detail. They weren't doing
mhm,
stuff like this. They didn't have bulleted lists like that. But with Kellen Moore, he is like that. He is a very detailed, very structured person. And being a fan, being a media, we can kind of tell what's going on with him and his team. But for the most part, he's really reserved. That being said, you can see that he's definitely won the respect of his team, and
mhm,
these guys are enjoying playing for him right now. Hopefully, the wins come and they'll enjoy it a little bit more. But this is a team that's bonding. This is a team that's having fun, and hopefully, much like the 2009 Saints that we discussed at length with John Stitchcomb in our interview the other day, they're
mhm.
building that chemistry that is going to help them on the field and is going to help them win games.
I think that you touched on it with DA. Like, he had a hard time relating to the team. And going from the defensive coordinator position to the head coach position, it's tough. Like it's a challenge to step into that larger role. It's like the substitute teacher, right? Like you just don't automatically get respect because the teacher is gone. And I think that he kind of missed the mark on a couple of things that he tried to do to bring the team together or to relate to them. Kellen is just so genuinely, I don't want to say he's like a nerd, but he kind of is. You know, he's just who he is. He is so football smart. He clearly has the talent as well because he was one of the most successful quarterbacks in college history. So he has the respect as a player, as a coach, and as a person. I think just are like, yeah, this dude is like, you get what you see. He is going to be a little nerdy, a little like awkward at times socially, but you got to love him. It's endearing.
Yeah, as long as he wins games. And it looks like the Saints are getting ready to maybe do that in 2026. All right, wrapping up the show here with a quick edition of Yes or BS. We debuted this segment last week, and today's
Mhm,
topic will not be Saints centric, but I wanted to touch on this because it's kind of the big news in the NFL this week. The Rams make a trade with the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett is an LA Ram, and Jared Verse going to the Cleveland Browns along with the first round pick this coming year, a second round pick the following year, and a third round pick the year after that. And before anything, I think it's one of the trades where both teams win. I think it's good for the Rams, who have done this before, mortgage their future, get all pro players, win Super Bowls, and for the Browns, because as good as Myles Garrett has been, he
mhm,
is 30 years old now. He's somebody who is going to, in future years, maybe soon start descending. Right now, maybe he's ascending, but soon he will be descending just due to age. And there's been a lot of talk about this. Aaron Donald's name has been brought up. I know Pat McAfee texted him, talked about him on his show, and said that he is maybe thinking about coming back. So that made me think of this topic, and I'll let you answer here first. Yes or BS? Aaron Donald will unretire and join the very stacked Los Angeles Rams before 2026.
No, it's BS for sure. He is not going to come back. We talked about this briefly before we got on the show. He hasn't played in 2 years as a lineman. As soon we'll clap, right? Offensive lineman, a little bit different body type for sure, but he looks like half of himself already. And he just stopped playing last year. So has Aaron Donald been working out as hard as we know that he has? Like, he was known for his training and how tough he competed and practiced and got ready for games in the season. Is he still at that level? Is he still doing that right now? Absolutely not. There's no way. I don't think he's going to come back. I mean, it's probably sounds fun, and you think about it like, man, it would be cool to join this team because they're stacked for next year or this upcoming season. It'd be great to just like kind of show up and win another Super Bowl, right? But again, going back to like these being professional athletes, he's going to want to also contribute and play, and I don't see that after sitting for 2 years.
I also think it's BS. I think the Rams also, like, they're gonna, entertain this and have some fun, but I think similar to Kellen Moore, they kind of want to bring in the next iteration, right? Like, they
Mhm.
drafted guys, they have a plan for them, and I think that they would definitely accept Aaron Donald if he comes back, but I just don't think it's something that's going to come to fruition. And you bring up a good point with the position. Like, this is not Phillip Rivers coming back. This is a very contact heavy, very
Yeah.
physical, very violent position on the interior of the defensive line. Like, it's something that I just do not see happening. So I agree with you. I do think that it is BS.
Yes, I agree.
One more point I want to make here, though. I do respect Sean McVay coming back. I know that he's talked about this and the fact that he almost quit, and he cited a conversation that he had with his wife. He was
Mhm.
really considering leaving the Rams and going to do media, going to do like this, talking to a microphone about
Mhm.
football. But he said that his wife basically told him that if you quit and our son ever wants to quit something, football, coaching, whatever, you better not tell him that he better not quit because you are technically a quitter. And he said that once his wife said that, he wanted to come back. He wanted to finish what he started. And this has been a trend. We saw Mike Tomlin do this and step down. We saw
Mhm.
Sean Payton do this, step down for a year before joining the Denver Broncos. And I haven't been the biggest Sean McVay fan the last few years, being a Saints supporter, still a little salty from 2019 and all that stuff. But I really admire that he came back. And I think it's a good thing for football, Sean McVay still being with the LA Rams.
Hey, shout out to the strong women behind these men, okay? I love that. And I mean, she's looking at it as a family teaching moment, father, son, what are we trying to instill in our children? And if he was ready to walk away because he felt like he was done, that's one thing. But if he did word it as like, I can't do this anymore, I, whatever, and like it seemed like he was quitting, then yeah, that's completely different. You don't quit because something's hard. You figure it out. And he is a great football mind. I'm excited to see what they do.
All right. That'll pretty much do it for today's show. Alvin Kamara back at practice. We'll see who
Mm.
attends next week. We're getting closer to training camp and eventually some real NFL football games. Before we wrap, any final thoughts today here, Erin Summers?
No, but who dat? I don't ever get to say it. You always say it. So
I love it. Thank you. Don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. For Erin Summers, I am Mario Jerez. We will talk to y'all soon. Thank you for watching or listening to Bleav in Saints. Who dat?